Yamuna Tira Vanajai Yamuna Tira Vanajai Jaya Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, my Subhadra. Jaya Srinataji, Jaya Balagopan, Jaya Srinataji, Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Gauranikai, Jaya Gauranikai, Jaya Gauranikai, Jaya Gauranikai. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Vishnu Pad, Paramahansa Parivrajacharya, Mahastodra Satyashishi Maharaj Divine Grace, founder of Iskana Bhaicharanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Director of Shrimadbhagavatam Ki Jai, Their Most Merciful Lordship Shri Shri Kunja Bihari Ki Jai, Shri Jagannath, Shri Baladev Mani Subhadra Ki Jai, Shri Nataji, Shri Balagopal Ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai, Nitai Go Premanand. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the Lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Shri Rai Standatri Shri Shri Tasmani Gurudev Prabhyasam Prabhupada Bhaktiman Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Todayam Udiraya Nasta Prayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistiki. Reading from Shrimadbhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 14, Text 9. Yasman na sampado rajam. Yasman na sampado rajam. Dara Prana Kulam Praja Dara Prana Kulam Praja Asam Sapatna Vijayo Asan Sapatna Vijayo Lokas Cha Yad Anugrahat Lokas Cha Yad Anugrahat Yasmanna Sampado Rajam Yasmanna Sampado Rajam Dara Parana Kulam Braja Dara Prana Kulam Braja Asan Sapatna Vijayo Asan Sapatna Vijayo Lokasya Anugraha Lokasya Anugraha Yasmanna Sampado Rajyam Yasmanna Sampado Rajyam Dara Prana Kulam Braja Asan Sapatna Vijayo Lokasya Anugraha Yasmanna Sampado Rajyam Yasmanna Sampado Rajyam Dara Prana Kulam Braja Asan Sapatna Vijayo Lokasya Anugraha Yasmanna Sampado Rajyam Dara Prana Kulam Braja Asan Sapatna Vijayo Lokasya Anugraha Yasmat from whom? Na our Sampada opulence Rajam kingdom Dara good wives Rana existence of life Kulam dynasty Praja subjects Asan have become possible Sapatna competitors Vijaya conquering Loka future accommodation in higher planets Cha and Yat by whose Anugrahat by the mercy of Yasmanna Sampado Rajyam Dara Prana Kulam Braja Asan Sapatna Vijayo Lokasya Anugrahat. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charnadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. From Him only all our kingly opulence, good wives, lives, progeny, control over our subjects, victory over our enemies, and future accommodation in higher planets have become possible. All this is due to His causeless mercy upon us. Please repeat. From Him only, all our kingly opulence, good wives, lives, progeny, control over our subjects, victory over our enemies, and future accommodations in higher planets have become possible. All this is due to His causeless mercy upon us. From Him only all our kingly opulence, good wives, lives, progeny, control over our subjects, victory over our enemies, and future accommodations in higher planets have become possible. All this is due to His causeless mercy upon us. Purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charnadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Material prosperity consists of a good wife, good home, sufficient land, good children, aristocratic family relations, victory over competitors, and by pious work, attainment of accommodations in the higher celestial planets for better facilities of material amenities. These facilities are earned not only by one's hard manual labor or by unfair means, but by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Prosperity earned by one's personal endeavor also depends on the mercy of the Lord. Personal labor must be there in addition to the Lord's benediction. But without the Lord's benediction, no one is successful simply by personal labor. The modernized man of Kali Yuga believes in personal endeavor and denies the benediction of the Supreme Lord. Even a great sannyasi of India delivered speeches in Chicago, protesting the benedictions of the Supreme Lord. But as far as Vedic Shastras are concerned, as we find in the pages of Shrimadbhagavatam, the ultimate sanction for all success rests in the hands of the Supreme Lord. Maharaj Yudhisthira admits this truth in his personal success, and it behooves one to follow in the footsteps of a great king and devotee of the Lord to make life a full success. If one could achieve success without the sanction of the Lord, then no medical practitioner would fail to cure a patient. Despite the most advanced treatment of a suffering patient by the most up-to-date medical practitioner, there is death. And even in the most hopeless case, without medical treatment, a patient is cured astonishingly. Therefore, the conclusion is that God's sanction is the immediate cause for all happenings, good or bad. Any successful man should feel grateful to the Lord for all he has achieved. Om Jnanatamranandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshusundilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave. We're seeing here evidenced that the result of karma is different for everyone. And so as we are working out our lives, so to speak, our daily activities, each and every one of us are getting somewhat of a different result. To some extent, there may be some similarities in what we are being rewarded as we make our efforts unified. And as we do that together more and more, we are all going to, by aiming for in the same direction, we're all going to get the same end result. These guidelines are being given, as is revealed here, from the pious perspective, as a means of going to higher planetary systems. And we have the understanding from Krishna directly that all of these higher planetary systems are also contained within this universe, subject by all the inhabitants of the planets to birth, death, old age, and disease. So our aim is to totally, by engaging ourselves in the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, submitting ourselves to the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then the soul itself is creating waves of reaction of a spiritual nature. So there's a different action, and it is creating a different reaction than the material energy. And everyone who is bound by the laws of nature, who is not free from the laws of nature, is having to experience the results of their involvement in the material energy. So what most people are not realizing, as is in the mind of the devotee, that even rewards in this world, being that they are of such a temporary nature, they can in themselves be, in fact, distractions from the aim we're having to be totally removed from anything in this material universe whatsoever. As we set our aims and goals to the highest spiritual understandings of spiritual advancement that the souls who have been personally related with Krishna have attained to, then we know that those states of consciousness are far removed from those experiences being had by those which we also were involved with previously in the material energy. So we are aiming for the highest levels of love to be developed in our daily activities. So for the most part, getting a job in the material world doesn't have much to do with promoting love or love for God. Now, there are some institutions, nursing homes, medical facilities like that are in fact very much enhanced. The people in their labors are enhanced by their own love for their work, their own love for the people they're working with, their love for the people that they're working towards helping. And these professions have a means of giving people these jobs, you may call them, or functions of society, or purposes that we find in our lives, have a more immediate means of giving us a relationship based on those experiences that are having a foundation of love, especially caring for the elderly and those that are not finding themselves capable of taking care of themselves. But then there are so many other jobs which general society requires in order for people to travel to and from work. They need roads built. In order for them to conduct business, they need buildings. They need machines to perform all these activities in the modern society that we are dwelling in. In the society we are looking at as the kind of lifestyle we are leading towards developing in Krishna consciousness, we see that a more simple lifestyle allows people more free time to give their lives over to the activities that are directly related to spiritual involvement. So I was meditating this morning while I was chanting that this act of chanting is really an opulence. If you can think or know of anyone in your own local vicinity that all he has to do all day long is sit in one place and recite mantras. And yet that's what Namacharya Haridas Thakur did all day long, just simply reciting The holy names of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if we take the life he lived as an example of the eternal consciousness he has developed by his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we can be fairly certain that he is right now engaged in the same activity. He is right now chanting. And that chanting has enabled him to be lifted to the highest seat in the universe. And the knowledge being passed down to us from he himself who Brahma is worshiping, who we are given the very personal name called Krishna. And he is enabled to do this, and is only required to do that also. And that is most pleasing to the Supreme Person, that Krishna is himself allotting him the ability, the space, the place, the time, and the circumstances necessary for him to engage in that activity. And what most people are not aware of in their normal everyday activities is what extent God himself has gone to engaging 33 million demigods to create all the circumstances necessary for all of the other human beings in the universe to be able to conduct any form of life at all, to have any form of experience of life at all. But without the knowledge of them, there is no respect or no acknowledgement of where all of the circumstances are coming into place by. And so we have very little perspective about what we owe in regards to reverence to those living entities who are themselves making it possible for us to carry out all these functions in the world. We think, oh, I'm doing this by my will, but all those jobs can be knocked out in a moment's notice. Our life can end at any time for any reason whatsoever. Any moment, yes. And so what superior opulence Krishna consciousness offers to the soul who makes the endeavor to obey the instruction Krishna gives when he says, forget all these other religious practices that you have been told to take part in up until this point. Just surrender unto me by chanting these holy names, and I will take care of everything else that there is for you as a responsibility that you have to society. So, and he doesn't even demand that you have to do that immediately. No, give up everything you have right now. We come face to face with the opportunity being offered by the Supreme Person for your life to be made easier, and for the end result of all the effort you do in the 100 years you have to be here, if you have that long, for that to be of most beneficial nature. People are looking to put aside what they call a nest, right, for the final 30, 40, 50 years of their life. If we are engaged in spiritual activities without expecting anything in return from the material energy, we don't want anything from the material energy. We want to know what that loving relationship is with the Supreme Person that we are engaging in all these activities for. We want to know what he thinks of us. We want to know the experience of his loving appreciation for us, that he gives us such peace of mind, happiness, and appreciation by offering reverence 3 times a day to all the powers that be that control the universe. We're acknowledging that someone is in a position of control over the universe, that is in control of the heavenly planets, that is control of the middle and lower planetary systems as well. All of them acknowledge the one controller of the universe, who is himself directly relating constantly by the chanting of the holy names with the Supreme Personality of God. So it is the chanting of these names that empowers the Supreme Controller of the universe to have the seat he's situated on, which is the most powerful seat in this universe, Lord Brahma's seat, you might say. Of course, that is that any Atma can hold, because, of course, Lord Vishnu, lying on the causal ocean, is holding that most glorious position within the universe. The Lord Brahma is situated in a place where he can see that form of Lord Vishnu constantly. And see, that's where we are not yet situated there. And that's what this devotional service will bring us to. Just like that vision that Arjuna was given on the battlefield that brought him to a place of awe and reverence. That vision that he said to hold that Krishna told Arjuna to hold in his mind of Krishna playing the flute. That's the vision we can hold in our minds. And remember that he's the one. He's the origin of all music. He's the origin of poetry. He's the origin of language. He's the source of health. He's the source of life, the source of experience. What does he say? I am the ability in man. He is our very ability that we have to use things in this world, best to use them for his purpose. And then we will know why we are here. We will know our purpose and take great pleasure in applying the principles we've learned to apply in order to gain the tools necessary to perform the functions we have in this material world. Functions all living entities have who surrender to the Supreme Person is to give the treasure of the knowledge of the Supreme Person to everyone we come in contact with. And that is our aim and the aim of the Krishna Consciousness Movement, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, established by His Divine Grace of Ajarnadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the fearless embodiment of bhakti and devotion, whose life is revealed in the form of Bhakti Vedanta through the giving of these transcendental literatures. For the upliftment of all society, all the world may come to know the value of these truths, these secret truths that God is saying, I will reveal to you the most confidential information, and coming to know that, you will have with you the constant knowledge that He can reveal to you every day, most secret, knowledge about the body, about the world, about the universe, about Him. Ultimately, all these qualities of everything we come in contact with in our daily lives is there to remind us of His own nature, the nature of God, and lead us to that full understanding to one day when our love becomes perfect towards the Supreme Person without a taint of any desire, feeling we are lacking something in this world. Because surrendering to Krishna now, the soul comes to the realization that everything now is made available, necessary for the soul to find completeness in his endeavors in life, to find satisfaction, to find real pleasure, happiness that is long-lasting, that we will know will last forever, because we're taking instruction from the original person who is still giving association to all those who seek that association. You want truth. All that is required is the desire to know God, and God will give you the truth of Himself, to know all things, past, present, and future. This is the promise of the Scriptures. In developing relationship with the Supreme, you develop the abilities the Supreme will give you in order to enable you to perform the functions He wants you to perform. So when you surrender your will, you surrender your desire, then you receive His will, you receive His desire into your heart, and to know even such a small part as we may play in that, because of its glorious nature, that the bhakti, the internal energy of God Himself, this is what bhakti is, Krishna's own internal potency, and calling it for what it is, the names Hare and Krishna and Rama, bringing that pleasure into our hearts, a real experience as we recite these sacred names. And then knowing the fullness of human experience that will bring to us. Then we chant that every day. And it is described that we should make 16 rounds a minimum, but we don't have to make that the maximum. We don't have to stop ever. We can be chanting all day long for the freedom that it brings and the experience that it brings with the answer to the questions that we seek throughout the day. Constantly the mind is being, if we are given positions of responsibility, then the mind is constantly being bombarded with challenges. How do I do this? How do I do that? Who do I have to talk to for this thing? What do I have to do to get this and that? And all these answers, the mind is flooded with answers when one is engaged in this chanting of the holy. Powerful, all powerful, as described by the person who is given the understanding of the means and the ways of being able to sing these glorious ways the way they are meant to be sung. So Krishna gives us the ability to engage in this activity that might otherwise be looked at as some off-the-wall concoction of a human being, like any mundane song being sung to a sweetheart of a mundane nature. But when Krishna gives us eyes to see that are spiritually tinged with bhakti, the salve that gives one the ability to see Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is bhakti. I was just reading yesterday, Srila Prabhupada was describing the activities of our life as like a medicine for the soul. The soul's not sick, but due to the fact that it has engaged itself for so many millions of lifetimes in the material energy, then this bhakti is, in effect, a medicine for that material energy, bringing to it a health that it would never know otherwise, because spiritual health is totally separate from material health. Your body can be in a completely decrepit situation. Hiranyakasipu, one of the biggest demons ever recorded in this universe, his body left his body to be eaten by the ants of the field, and still was able to survive within the residence of that body. But by meditation upon Brahma, and by request to Brahma, he got a brand new body. And if this can be done for such a big demon, this is done for a demon, a big demon. A demon that was so big he took over control of the seat of Brahma. Yeah, that's very powerful. Well, actually he got the boon from Brahma. I don't know that he actually had control. When he got the boon from Brahma, he wouldn't be killed in the daylight or the nighttime. Wouldn't be cruel. Wouldn't be killed indoors or outdoors. On the ground or in the sky.
Not by human.
Not by a human, not by an animal.
Not by any weapons.
Yes. Amazing. Thought he had it licked. But, see, we can take this to show us that if Krishna, enabling him to receive the ability he had, just look at that, to perform against Krishna's energy, because he was stopping the Brahmin sacrifices and all the Brahminical activities, denying the powers of the Supreme Person, Krishna, Lord Vishnu, and yet was enabled to gain a position in the universe far superior to all other living entities. So then what will he do for the devotee who humbly seeks to be that able vessel of Krishna's truth, a shining light in the world of darkness? Then, if we are seeking with the purity of our hearts to find that place in God's purpose that will be most pleasing to God himself, and put aside all our own intents, hopes, desires, wants, and just realize that God has a better idea for us than we can make up for ourselves. And then be willing to surrender to the thought that God puts in our minds. When we have that mood of surrender, Krishna, you take over my life. You guide my life. I want to do what is pleasing to you. Then when Krishna puts it in our minds what that is, then we should act upon that function, because we will. But this is brought about by careful counsel with one's guru, one surrendering to the spiritual master is in effect one's surrender to Krishna as well. Because you're giving over your own free will to that one you're recognizing has the ability to give you proper guidance that you wouldn't have yourself without their help. Mm-hmm. This is the idea of education to begin with, but we don't realize it, or we don't, in most societies, is not thought of to be a lifelong experience. And that is because all those experiences of education in this material world are for the sake of using the temporary material energy. And they don't develop eternal relationships. So you don't see many people after their years in school retaining, some people do retain their relationships with their educators, but those educators educated in the systems of academia in this material world are not set up now, presently, to be able to give the participants of their activities the eternal rewards that they should be getting. Mm-hmm. See, that's where society is actually robbing the souls of participants in community from their eternal relationship and the knowing of what that eternal responsibility is. We can take part in activities here that are also being taken part of in the spiritual world, even though they will be of a more elevated nature. But by guidance of one who has also been on the path that the master before them has been on. And they have, for us, the experience, for us, just like we can learn from the mistakes of others, we can also take from the knowledge of others and gain right now the experience of their 40, 50 years that they are passing down to us by the privilege we gain by surrender, by reverence, by acknowledging the fact that they have superior knowledge to us. And this puts in the heart of the mentor like a prod that wants to give us this knowledge. And this is the mood of Krishna as well. He's gone to such length to come into this material universe from where he was to be able to enable all the living entities in the material universes to return to the eternal dwelling. I mean, when you put it like that, it almost seems like a decision that wouldn't have to require much thinking at all. When you compare eternal to temporary, it wouldn't seem like it would be a big decision that would have to be studied and questioned and analyzed, which we do with our mind, with the concept of eternity being presented by all spiritual paths versus the concepts of this world being the all in all that there ever will be, ever was, and ever will be, for us to be able to experience. And one who looks at these two perspectives objectively will have to conclude one is limited, very much limited, in its perspective and its ability to develop consciousness, which is our experience of life. That which we are having as thoughts of the mind is that which we're calling consciousness. And those experiences are governed by our interaction with the material energy, unless we are spending time constantly immersing the mind in spiritual energy. which is gained by study of these books. And the more time we spend in the spiritual energy, the more percentage there is of our leaving this body while it being engaged in the spiritual energy, so that it will be continuing its journey when it leaves. And that is the promise of the Vedas. That is the reason for us taking this process up. It's not only to make this a better place to experience, but to know that there's a better place beyond this temporary place, which in comparison makes this place look like a storeroom. We could say kindly, like the bus stop or the train stop, or if we're on the boat, then it's port. We're sitting at port waiting to reach the other port, or we're on our way to the journey to the spiritual realm, where every form of life is working for the same purpose that every other form is. And therefore they're all engaged with the experience of family towards one another. They're all serving the same purpose, and they're all sharing the same loving experiences with one another about the same person, Krishna. And we have access to that same energy here now. Jai. And so many varieties of subjects. Go to the search engine of Database, type in a subject matter you'd like to see, which I'm going to do in a few minutes. And you will find out what Srila Prabhupada has given to humankind in the way of knowledge. Just like he has said that can't and impossible are words in a fool's dictionary. We can take that word to know that Srila Prabhupada uses in his vocabulary, which he would consider his own dictionary of his mind, that there are concepts that do not exist in the mundane vocabulary of most people's minds. So there is a lot of vocabulary that people need to add to their perceptions of what life is all about that can do nothing but enhance one's experience of life itself. These long-founded truths of ancient sages of thousands of years ago are meant for mankind to be able to develop and pass down as knowledge so that all the future generations can become more advanced. But it seems, in this day and age, the modern tendency is to look down upon the ancient wisdom as that which is, as it's called, old-fashioned and not applicable to this day and age. But if you will read yourself the ancient teachings, the most ancient teachings of the most knowledgeable souls, you will find within yourself the ability to apply to your time and circumstance those teachings. Because those teachings that have everlasting ability to give the participant who reads the advice given for spiritual practices, specifically the chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. This practice specifically has been empowered with all the spiritual energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, specifically for the soul itself to experience relief from the material energy, release from the effects of the material energy, removal of the reactions and the causing of future reactions, total removal and freedom from the bonds that those energies, lower energies of the material universe, force one to suffer when they leave these bodies. So without the supreme divine purpose of life to free us from the effects of the material energy, we will be subjected to, just like we are every day, subjected to the effects of our involvement with the material energy. It will continue after we leave these bodies. So it is very important to know we have to get out of the material energy and engage in the spiritual energy, which is the difference between night and day, temporary and permanently eternal. And we want to know the substance of that eternal, that permanently eternal, because that is our own very nature. And that's what we're looking for in everything else we're searching for in this world. Not knowing. We are searching only if we do not know that those substances in this material world do not have the eternal spiritual effect that chanting of the holy names of Godhead, that reading the sacred literatures about the activities of the Supreme Person will have upon our mind and our consciousness. So we want to, as much as possible, as much as we are given the ability to do it, immerse ourselves in these teachings and allow the soul to know itself. The substance of these teachings give us the experience of is love. The substance these teachings give us the experience of is love. I'm going to say it one more time. The substance these teachings give us the experience of is love. And that's what we need. Love is life. Life is meant to be experiencing love. And Krishna gives his name for us to be able to experience that all day long.
Sure.
Yeah.
Free access.
We are the great receivers of that which God has given to all those who want it.
Unlimited access.
Unlimited access. Yes. And total freedom. Spiritually to be free moral agents, bringing morality and teachings of truth that give the soul ability to function the way it was put here to function. And by that doing, then to experience life as it was meant to be experienced. Experience love. Experience life as love in you. So life is love in us. That you are a part of love. Love has made you. Love has breathed you into existence. And you were in that very form one time, but by desire, By desire we separate, and by desire we return. So it's all by desire. So let's desire that which is best for us. Simple thing to conclude. And we make the decision between the eternal and the temporary. Easy decision. I'll take the eternal all the time, every time. So, Grantaraj, Shrimadbhagavatam. Any questions? Any realizations?
Nice, Prabhu. Nice explaining. What mercy of the Lord. And unlimited access to holy name.
John. Yes, John. Grantaraj, Shrimadbhagavatam. Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada. Ki Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Have a glorious day in Krishna.